Probably live, and if not, we'd be bloody close. So I reckon we're bang on there. So look, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Naked Passion Podcast. We've got the inimitable Misty Henkel with us this evening. Misty, welcome.
Thank you so much, Nathan. You know, I'm writing that word down. Inimitable. I've never been called that before. I'm Googling that at the end.
Oh, it's a night effect.
Sounds good.
It does. It's fun to say too.
Yes.
But, talk me through that crown. I got a little bit of an insight 30 seconds ago, but I love that.
Okay, so I'm a salesman and a sales trainer, and back in 2002 was the very first time I ever went to a sales seminar. And when I left, I mean, I was supposed to have gone, oh my God, yes, that's how you sell it. But I left going, oh my God, I want to be him. I want to teach sales to everyone in the world for the rest of my life because I believe in everything he says and I get it. And the guy was about 10 years in front of his time, but he very much talked about how sales, people will pay more for customer service than they want a discount. So if you treat people nice, they'll just pay you for it and you don't have to offer discounts in order to get someone to buy it. And I left going, I get that. I actually really believe that. And I was a barmaid. So basically as a barmaid, people came in and even if they didn't have enough cash, they didn't get it for a discount. Like they just pay for as much as they couldn't. So they'd complain a lot, but they'd only be able to spend what they had, right? Yeah. So I left doing that. And then for about 10 years, I decided I was going to be a sales trainer. So still, continued the other jobs, but was going to be a sales trainer. I spent over 10 years trying to work out how to get people to turn up to like a seminar or something. And then by accident, I found myself at a networking event. It's a story, so I'm not getting into how that happened. But anyhow, I found myself at a networking event and gone, oh my God, here's the secret to sales. I've never been in a room where people are so interested to find out what it is that I do. Why did I not know about this in hospitality and retail? So as a result, what I did was I decided to go to every networking event I could find. So I was living in Canberra at the time. And I thought I'd go to every networking event that I could find. Big ones, small ones, training ones, like obscure. Like I found them and I turned up within 6 months because I went to so many different events. Well, I would see some people the same at some of the big events at, some small ones, and then like some weird ones would be other people from other events. And so I got known as, oh, that's the networking queen. That's the networking queen. So I got that, right? And then moving forward, as I become more of, I got known as a sales trainer. About 4 years ago, I had to get a new headshot. So this was my original headshot here, right? That was back in 2017. But then there was a new photographer that came out and I said, oh, I'll get new headshots, right? So she said to me, and I'm just trying to find a book. She said to me, here we go. She said, all right, so we're going to take 3 photos. 3 photos? I only need 1 photo. I need an up-to-date one, right? And she said, because I'd got my hair cut shorter and everything. And she said, no, well, I'm going to take 3. Why 3? She said, well, we need the classic one, right? Of course you need the classic one. She said, then we need one that says about you to go on the about you page of your website. And I've gone, but I have a website. So I don't need that. She said, you get in it anyway. Just in case one day in the future you decide that that's what's going to happen, you can do that. All right. Well, can I put my boys in it? I said, so can I get my kids in the shot? Because I took them networking against their wishes. They would come. They ended up here. So they ended up on the front cover of my second book, right? And these are my boys, right? And then, of course, she said, and then I need one of you doing that thing that you do. The thing that I do, I'm a sales trainer. Like, what does that look like? She said, I don't know, hold up some dollars, or you're a networker, hold up some business cards. I've gone, what, just stand there with money and cards? I mean, that sounds stupid. And then I said, it doesn't sound attractive. And then I've suddenly gone, since I'm known as the networking queen or the sales queen, can I dress up? Can I wear a crown? Can I put on a cape and carry a scepter? And she said, you can wear a crown. All right, I'll take it. And so then that picture was born. Me with
Brilliant.
The crown. Right. And so as a result, I have the crown. It's still here. And every now and then, it comes on for different things. So networking queen or sales queen, that's kind of my title.
I love that. Networking, we've touched on that in private conversations, and there was a lot of value in that convo. I guess from your experience, Misty, what are the I guess, what are the benefits and what value have you found from, I guess, networking in these different events that you frequent?
I'll tell you. So I'm a salesman, right? So first off, I started as a salesman, right? So I used to work as a barmaid. So for 10 years, 18 to 27, I was a barmaid. So the secret is, and the idea behind it was, if I become a barmaid and really good at it, I'll get tips. Okay, that doesn't happen in Australia. But if I was over in America, I would earn heaps. I am so good at making people stay until they're cashless. But, you can't do that unless you make someone feel good. Like, they have to be feeling good in order to stay and continue to drink and eat and chat and everything, right? So I just have the ability to make people feel good. As a result, they stay, they drink, they eat, they play pool, put on cool music, So I did that as a barmaid. Then after that, I started selling furniture. So here in Australia, we have fantastic furniture. So I was selling that, which is the everyday furniture. So I say to Americans, it's kind of like Pottery Barn, I suppose, just in case we got, Americans listening, so they get an idea of what that is. And so with that, selling furniture, I thought it was so different to being a barmaid until I realized it's so exactly the same. I mean, a barmaid is, hi, how are you going? What would you like to drink? Furniture sales is, hi, how are you going? What were you looking to buy? What piece of furniture were you in for, And I remember saying to my boss when I was working in the furniture store, I said, now, and my favorite section of the furniture store was mattresses, beds. And that was my thing, making sure that everyone had a good night's sleep. So I remember saying to my boss, I said, here in Canberra at the moment, this is going back, 15 years ago, a lot of hotels are getting built. I said, so with hotels comes beds and bed bases. I said, now furniture is very specific. When you go for a hotel, you're looking for a particular look. So the furniture is subject to whatever it is that they're thinking of for the style of the room. But a mattress and a base is the same across the board. They're all exactly the same. So it doesn't really matter where you buy it. So I'm going, so how do I find the owner of a hotel so I can sell them mattresses and bed bases? And here's her answer. When you find out, let me know, because I'm interested in that too. Right.
Wow.
So anyhow, nothing came of that. And then 6 years later or so, 5 years later, I wasn't working there anymore. And then I was out sales training and found myself at this networking event. It was Chamber of Commerce. So I rock into the Chamber of Commerce and look around and say, hi, how you going? I'm Misty. And, there's a whole story behind it, but I basically was armed with a set of questions and instructions on what I was supposed to do. Turn up, carry business cards, go up to someone and ask, have you been here before? Have you networked before? Where are you from? What company do you work for? What do you do? So I had a list of questions. All right. So as I go up to the first group, two ladies, I'm from an accounting firm. So I've gone up and I was talking to them and I said, right, I've got a list of questions. You've been here before? No. Have you done this before? No. Why are you here? I don't know. Boss made us come. Okay. What are we supposed to do? Okay, no idea. Great. Got questions. Let's go through it. And then I said, you take the questions, ask the next person. I've got it covered, right? But as I'm there, I'm thinking, oh my God. If I was in retail sales now, I thought, I have never been in a room where so many people are just interested in what I sell, like in what I do. And when I say do, I mean sell. So, I can say I'm in furniture sales. So I sell furniture, I sell mattresses, you could say, I have a podcast. Someone else could be an accountant. It's all well and good to say the name of the accountant. Let's say I work for RSM. What is that? Well, I'm an accountant. All of a sudden what you do, what you sell comes out, right? And people are like, yeah, right. How long have you been doing that for? I thought, I'm actually interested. I mean, I go home to my family and go, oh my God, I had the best day at work today. And they go, yeah, I get it. You love your job. And I know when I was a barmaid, my mum would say, but Missy, you're only a barmaid. I'm not only a barmaid, Mum. I'm the best barmaid in the world. The best. People come in with not much money. They leave with even less. They thank me for it and come back the next day. So, that makes me pretty good at my job, right?
Yeah.
And so, so that was my thoughts. Like, oh my God, this is the secret to sales I was looking for in furniture. This is where I would find the owner of a hotel. All I have to do is ask everyone, what do you do? Or do you happen to be building a hotel? That's it. And the chances of running into that person or running into a person who knows the person that's building the hotel pretty high. So it was at that point I went from the Chamber of Commerce going, okay, so all right, I'll go back a little bit. How I ended up there, somehow I ended up doing a diploma of life coaching in the effort to do some workshop thing so that then I could get people to a workshop. I thought it was my ability to run a workshop. Turns out, no, that's got nothing to do with bums on seats. Bums on seats comes down to how many people do you know and can ask to come to that first seminar. If you don't know anyone, you can't get anyone. It's got nothing to do with the workshop, right?
Yep.
So here I was for life coaching, learning about networking, only to go in there going, great, I'm doing this $15,000 course, but I'm switching back to sales. I mean, I still follow the life coaching program of how to talk to people and somehow, sometimes stop and let them talk too, because as a salesman, we like to talk. And then, but I'm going to go to as many networking events as I can possibly find and pull apart how to turn this into a sales tool. And so I've been networking for 11 solid years, every week, probably average 3 events every week for 11 solid years.
Wow.
And I can tell you there is about half a dozen things, that's it, that you need to know. Like, I mean, if you do 1 of 6, you'll increase your sales. If you do up to 6 of it, when you learn all 6 of them over time, it's like, it's there, it's sitting in front of you. So it's things like your elevator pitch, right? But anyone can do an elevator pitch. Problem with elevator pitches is most of them is a person just trying to explain what they do. When you try to explain what you do, then the next person is trying to explain who you are and what you do. And it's like Chinese whispers. And the story gets changed and mucked up. And elevator pitches, the secret to an elevator pitch is say what you sell and how much it costs. You say those 2 things. Like there's 3 questions a person wants to know. We'll ask 100% every time. What do you sell? How much does it cost and who buys it? If you answer those 3 questions, then nobody has anything else to ask you. And you've told them a lot. But if you find that out about someone else, what do you sell? How much does it cost and who buys it? And it's remarkable how many people can't answer those 3, by the way.
Yep.
Oh, well, you see, what I sell is, coaches particularly terrible at it. Well, see, it's this program, and then we work on the mindset and we do this. And I'll say, is it life coaching? This is a coach. Are you a coach? Or are you a business coach? Are you a mindset coach? Are you a health coach? Oh, yeah, well, I am that. Great. So you sell coaching. Great. How much does it cost? Oh, no, let me explain. You don't have to explain. I understand coaching. Right. Then how much does it cost? Then we get out the price and then who buys it? Oh, well, you see, it's people who want to change. No, it's not. It's people who are lacking energy, who can't get out of bed. Parents who are tired of being yelled at by their children. It's something basic that is who buys it. But what happens by the end of, say, the coaching as the example is, let's say the parent who buys it because I'm tired of getting yelled at by my kids every night. Okay. Like I'd like to be loved at the end of the day because I've worked really hard for my children and they haven't recognized it, right? Just because I gave them everything they wanted and then put broccoli on their plate doesn't mean I should be yelled at. So I'd like for that to stop happening, right? So when that happens, right? So coaching is for parents who are tired of being yelled at, one example, right? And they say, oh no, but it's all these other things. No, you do all those things and the result will be parent stops being yelled at, or parent gets over the fact that children are getting yelled anyway and accepts that sometimes kids are just horrible people. And you just have to let them throw a tantrum, but it works for everything, right? So elevator pitches say what it is, how much it costs, and the person who buys it. And the next person can pass that message on perfectly, right? But you've got to run that same message over and over and over. And when you change your message, particularly to the same group of people, then they can't remember what you do because it sounds like you're a new person. So if you change your message to something else, accountants are great for it, right? It might be one week. I'll tell you what they never say. I'm an accountant. I'll help you get your tax done. They never say that. I'm an accountant. See, what I do is, I get these businesses and I help them and I look at their money and I help them with their profit and loss. Oh, okay. All right. Someone help you with profit and loss. And the next week, I'm an accountant. I help people, get taxable things off their income. I'm an accountant. I help people with, how to lower their tax by looking at their super and helping them over there. It's like, wow, where was the last person that helped with the, and it doesn't seem like the same person each time. But ultimately, even for an accountant, we only want accountants for one thing, and it's not for the peace of mind they think it is. We get that as a result, but it's one thing. I want the best tax return you can get me at the cheapest possible price. Whatever that is. It might cost me $3,000. No, the best, but the fastest tax return. That's what I'm after. The best and the fastest. You get me that, I'll do whatever else you ask. Just get me that. That's what we customers pay for. So I teach people how to say, so as a sales trainer, I teach people how to say what the customer wants, which is very different to what the salesman thinks they're selling. Right? So that's one. Learn to say an elevator pitch. Another one is learn to repeat it over and over and over. Right? Learn not to get bored by it. You'll get bored by your pitch because you've said it a trillion times, but someone else has only heard it once.
Yes.
And the others that have heard it multiple times are getting comfortable with the fact that that's exactly who you are.
Is that a consistent thing that you find, Misty, whether it be your clients, whether it be at some of these networking events, the idea that someone can deliver something with passion for maybe the first 12 times, and then when they get to the 202nd, they've lost that passion in the elevator pitch.
Lucky to do it at 12.
I'm being kind. Hey, I'm a kind man.
Absolutely. It's so funny. I run group sales classes, right? In the beginning of every group sales class, we start with an elevator pitch. And you have to say this. Here's the structure. Your full name, your business name, answer this question, I am a, and then finish that. So it tells us what industry or how you're an expert, right? I sell, it costs, and the people who buy it. So very simply, I'm Misty Henkel from the Sales Edge, and I'm a sales trainer. I sell sales training. It starts at $25, and the people who buy it want to increase their sales. So it's just straight to the point. Now, if you were to leave that networking event after hearing my pitch, what am I? What do I sell?
Yeah, well, Misty, you sell sales training.
You can't get it wrong, can you? Right?
100%.
Can't get it wrong. And the people who buy it want to increase their sales. You run into somebody who says, oh my God, I'm so tired of just not having enough sales. You'll go, I know someone who helps with that. What's the first two questions that person's going to ask? Who
are they? Yeah.
How much does it cost? And if you can't answer that for that person, you say, oh, well, I know she's a sales trainer. So, I mean, it'd be some sort of sales training, but if you can't answer that price question, well, it's sales training, but if you can't answer the price question, let's say I kept it a secret, I just didn't say it for whatever reason, right? And most people don't say it. They somehow it's a secret. It should never be a secret. It's not a secret. It's just people don't say it. But if I never said it and you said, oh, well, I know she does sales training, but I don't know how much it is, the person you're talking to will say, okay, thanks, I'll look into it, but I've got it covered.
Yes.
And then people wonder why they can't get referrals. Well, you pass on great information that your network said, oh, I get it, that's really great, but didn't pass on the information that the next person needs. And so elevator pitch is hugely important. So the skill of being able to say it simply, straight to the point, say what it is that you sell, right? Repeat it over and over. Another one is presentations. So a networking presentation or a presentation of what it is that you do, of who you are, from a networking event, there's very specific structure. And having written notes on over 2,000 presentations from networking events over the last 2 years, there's a structure that works where people go, oh my God, I get it. I think I need it. Or my next door neighbor does. Oh my God. And there's a structure that does this. Oh, that's a nice person. And I ask him, they did a really good job. Yeah, they did. They're a nice person. Yeah, they are. And then I ask them, what do they sell? Oh, I don't know. Okay, how can we help them? Oh, yeah, no, I got nothing. But I enjoyed their presentation. Yes, presentations can be enjoyable. It doesn't mean it achieves anything, right? So it's got to achieve something. So networking event or an up to an 8-minute presentation. Yes. The goal has to be, I'm after clients. What do I have to say for them to understand so they can possibly buy or at least pass them a message on, right?
Yep.
So presentations become important. Inviting visitors. It's one thing to invite a visitor. It's another thing to get them there after they said yes. It's another thing to get them back the second time, right? But there's a secret. And even with growing groups, right? So with networking, events or networking groups, you can't grow a group without the visitors. And everybody at networking groups says, you're in charge, you're in charge, you're in charge. All right, it's all about meetings. So you're all in charge. You all have to bring in visitors and you all have to help grow this. Well, the big group that I started, and so I started at the Chamber of Commerce, but then I joined a BNI chapter. And BNI, for those who know it, it's like it's a formal morning networking meeting where you go in, you have breakfast, everybody gets an elevator pitch, there's a presenter there. It's a very structured event, right? So all morning events really are based off BNI structure, right? And for those who don't know it, well, I've pretty much just described it, right? It's quite formal structure. Now, I started 3.5 years in BNI, and you're in charge, you're in charge, you're in charge, you're in charge. I was in charge. And then I was asked into a group after 3.5 years in a group called Business at Breakfast. And it was ex-BNIers, so people who'd paid money to be in BNI for a number of years, and for whatever reason, their chapter had collapsed. They didn't have enough people, and their chapter had collapsed. So then they were displaced. They couldn't get into another chapter, and they've gone, we can do the same meeting, but without charging anyone any money, and it will be amazing. And then after a year, they said, yeah, Mister, we can't get people there. Why can't we get people there? I said, well, you paid $1,500 a year for your seat to advertise yourself, and you never turned up. Why would someone who's paid nothing turn up to advertise themselves and then turn up? Like, you couldn't do it, and you paid for your seat. Yeah. So I said, all right, I'll come in, I'll show you how to do it. But the secret became this. I sat next to this guy who he was about the same age as my dad. My dad used to fix roads. So he would asphalt roads and fix them, potholes and things like that. But this guy worked for a construction company, which, as it turned out, dug the holes for my dad. And then my dad went in afterwards. And so they dug out the road, and my dad went in and asphalted it. So by chance, the guy that I was sitting with was just like my dad, except he believed in personal development. And my dad did all of it, said, no, my word is law. I am the personal development. You just do what I say, right? So it was really funny to have that contrast. And I've gone, do you happen to know? And he goes, oh, yeah, I know that bloke. You know, I talk to him all the time. And I've gone, that's my dad.
Wow.
One day I'm sitting next to him, and he's in the world of construction. And networking events, morning ones, start at 7 o'clock in the morning. Well, construction workers, they start way earlier than that. So he's sitting there and he says to me, sort of under his breath, he said, I can't come anymore. I've gone, why not? And he said, well, I can't fulfill my section as a member by bringing in visitors because I only know construction people and tradies, and they're already at work. And I said, yeah, right. So I'm here because you're here, because I actually really like it when you get up to speed. So here's what we'll do. I'll bring in the visitors because I've got that covered, right? And the reason I had it covered was because I networked at every event. So I knew people. Like, the easiest people to get to a networking event is networkers, because networkers know what networking is. So they like it. It's kind of like, no point trying to feed chocolate to a person who doesn't eat lollies or sweets or sugar, or, right? You know, don't try that person, right? Don't sell face cream to a person who doesn't use cream, like, at all. Don't sell face cream to a person who doesn't use makeup, because they don't do any of that, right? You sell face cream to a person who already owns every product in the world, because she loves it. And she'll take more, right? She's not fussy about brands. She has favorites, but she's not fussy about brands. She loves it all, right? So it's easy to sell networking to networkers because they know what you mean. Whereas to someone else, let's say you're in the retail industry, you've never heard of networking. And I said, hey, you should come to a networking event with me. Your eyes will glaze over as I try to explain it. And I'm like, this is so hard. Right? Yep. So because I went to all these events, I said to him, I said, all right, Mick, I go to the events, I'll do all the inviting. When they turn up, I said, I can't get them back a second time. I get them in the first time. It says, you should come. Everyone needs to know who you are. Oh, I don't think so. Yeah, no, you're that amazing. Everyone needs to know who you are. You should come out. I'll hand out your card. No problems. I'll introduce you. They turn up. At the end of the meeting, I'm going, it's so good. Can't wait for you to come back next week. Oh, I don't know that I'll be back next week. Why not? And they said, well, don't really know anyone. And no, it's amazing. Everybody likes you. They've gone, no, I think it's just you. But the truth was the other people didn't know who they were yet. So they were only just learning. And they weren't used to visitors. Like, when you're not used to strangers coming in, you're kind of like, oh my God, there's someone here. They might be, you get a bit attached.
Yeah.
And you lean in and go, oh my God, I think they're going to join. And of course the business is going, oh, I'm not sure what's going on right here, right? So I said to Mick, I said, here's what I'll do. I'll invite them in and get them in, but I can't get them back a second time. You invite them back. So you collect all the cards, write to each person and say, oh, I loved having you at our meeting today. I can't wait to see you next week. I mean, this meeting's free. They'll even turn up. So, of course, when they get somebody else in the group saying, oh, my God, you were amazing. I can't wait to meet next week. Like, I want to sit next to you. They're like going, oh, my God, somebody did notice me. Oh, my God, Missy, someone noticed me. And what I do is I get up to half a dozen people to write the same thing to the same people. And, you know, when it's someone else's name at the bottom of that letter, and it's exactly the same email, I love meeting you today. I can't wait to see you next week. I love meeting you today. I can't wait to see you next week. It's exactly the same letter. It doesn't read the same because somebody else wrote it. It just doesn't. You can open up 6 letters in a row saying exactly the same thing, but because it's ended with someone else, it's like, oh my God, somebody else noticed me. Oh my God, somebody else noticed me, right? And so that's how I'd get them back. And so little things like that I teach with networking is networking, inviting visitors, growing a group. It's not you're in charge, we're all in charge here. It's actually a team sport. You know what? Some of you are really good at inviting visitors, or will be, because you go to many events. Others have the ability to get them back because they don't go to the events. So they still want to be part of the group, right? So you get the ones that don't go to the events. So when I find new people and say, hey, come out networking, one group, but you're not allowed to invite visitors. Don't worry about that. Leave that to the end. You don't need to find out about how to do that. Your first job is turn up consistently. There's a skill. Pick a group, turn up consistently, early. Bring your business card. Say hi. You know, all the simple stuff, right? Then you sit down, you do your elevator pitch, same thing over and over. And while you're there, write a list of every single person that's there. If you have a list of every single person that's there and you've got their business card or on Zoom, the chat box, their contact details, then all you have to do, but this is, it's a number of skills in here that you learn over time, not all at once, right? But from that list, you then write to people, it was great meeting you, and then you write, it was great meeting you. Can I have a one-to-one or a coffee chat or a meet up with you to find out more about you? So then you, outside of the meeting, start to meet people one at a time, right? And those one at a time meetings are kind of like, so everything at networking mirrors a sales aspect, right? If you struggle with your elevator pitch, I can see your sales problem. You can't very fast and succinctly explain, say to a person, not explain, say to a person what you sell.
Yep.
And then you feel the need to talk and explain. The more you talk, the less they understand, the less chance of getting the sale, right? A one-to-one or a coffee catch-up is the same as, oh, I've just booked in how do you book in a mini presentation with somebody who doesn't really know who you are? Here's how you do it, right? So that teaches you that. And then how do you present when you're there, right? So I had a coaching session with a woman today. She makes these fantastic, it's a drawing game with cards, right? And for kids. So it's to help artists get reinvigorated on what should I draw. But it's also for kids who are always saying, well, what should I do? What should I draw? What should I draw? And so when you pull these cards out, the cards make a sentence. So there's 4 different colors, I think. And you pull one card from each pile. And then it fits together and it makes a sentence. Like a rainbow zebra fixing fences. Right. Okay. So each card has so then if you put it in a, whatever order, but then you have to draw that. So, what does that look like? Right. So she wants these cards in game shops, like kids game shops. Right.
Yeah.
So she said, so I've called up and, I start telling them and their eyes glaze over. And I said, so the secret becomes become their friend. If it was at networking, we've got 2 choices for an invitation. I can say, hey, Nathan, I was wondering if we could catch up and have a chat and you can tell me more about what it is that you do and the podcast you have so that then I can find out so I can tell other people. And you'll probably go, yes, let's have that meeting. Versus this one. Hey, Nathan, I was wondering if we could catch up and have a coffee chat for about an hour where I can tell you everything about me.
Yes.
I mean, how fast are you taking that away? Oh, sadly, I'm booked up for the next month. But, and then I'm going away on holidays. But maybe sometime around November when I'm back, we could look into that, right?
Yes.
So how to get that one-to-one appointment and then what to say when you're there is exactly the same as getting a business call with a stranger who doesn't know you and then getting them to listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
So for her, this girl at the game shop, I said, what you do is you call up and you say, I really love your store. I make kids drawing games, which has attracted me to your store. Just wondering, how do you pick your toys? How long have you had the store? What was your inspiration to get it? How did this come about? Oh my God. Can I hear about your story of how you do it? I sell my stuff at the markets, but you've got a whole shop. Can I have a coffee with you and find out? Now, who's not taking that meeting? I mean,
everyone is.
How many people own a store and think, God, how nice would it be if someone just said, if Red just turned up and said, actually, I'd like to find out how this even happened. Because inside that meeting of them saying, this is what I do, they're going to say, what do you do exactly? I'll make these card games. Right. And how do you do that? Well, I sell at the markets and, the story will come out. They can look into it. It's very subtle.
Mm-hmm.
Into it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I had a guy who met out networking a number of years ago. And he was an electrician who did electrical maintenance at cafes only.
Okay. Yeah.
Very specific.
Yeah.
I'm looking at him going, okay, so I don't know anyone who owns a cafe, so I'm a little stumped there, but I'll keep an eye out for it, right? And he says, no. He says, I have a way of getting to the owners. I'm going to tell me his story. This is going to be good, right? So I'm thinking, this is so specific. And he literally just went out networking to have like the free beer that goes with it and chat to some other people because he works for himself, right?
Yep.
So he says, so here's what I do. He says, I go into a cafe, right? Just pick any cafe any particular day, right? Close to wherever I'm at. I go into a cafe and order a coffee. I look around and I work out which one I think is the manager. Then I go over to the manager and say, hey, just wanted to tell you, your staff here are amazing. Your coffee's great. I'm going to tell them my work buddies, like my construction buddies. They should come in for a coffee. And of course, the manager goes, oh, thanks very much. He says, so how long you been here? Tell me, how long you been here? How long has this been going on? You've got a really great place. Staff is so nice. How is this going? So then, of course, the owner feels good. So he starts to tell the story. And of course, he says, well, that's it. I'm going to tell, my mates. And of course, the owner naturally says, you're still there somewhere. There you go.
I am.
And the owner naturally can't help it but say, and what is it that you do? And he says, well, I'm an electrician. I do electrical maintenance in cafes only. But here's where he gets it, right? In cafes only. He says, but I can see that for this place to be exactly it is, the electrician that you've got is amazing. Whoever that is, you stick with him because he's amazing. Don't hire anyone else. This guy is great. And of course, the owner's there going, oh, thanks. Yeah, no, he's pretty good. And the owner's thinking, I don't know who it is. I don't know, just go to Yellow Pages. I mean, it's whoever answers the phone. I don't know, right?
Yep.
So this guy, Dale, he'd say, no, whoever that is, stick with that. He's doing a great job and well done him. And that's why he's been around for so long, because nothing, if anything breaks down, he must come and fix it fast, right? And they're going, oh, sometimes a bit of a nightmare. Or it could be his brother-in-law going, I don't even want him doing it, but you know what else choice do I have, right? Yep. So before Dale leaves, he says, well, thanks very much for the coffee. I'm going to tell some of my mates they should come past and get a coffee. It's been great. You're wonderful. Really love hearing the story. By the way, from time to time, I understand that if something breaks down, you'll call your electrician. He might be busy. I love this place here. I don't ever want it to shut down. Here's my card. And he'd give a magnet of his business card and it'd say, electrical maintenance for cafes. I'm happy to be your plan B.
Oh, that's good.
And he says, just put that on your fridge, right? So that then if your guy isn't available, I'd be happy to come in and be your plan B, right? But stick with plan A. All right. Now he goes, oh, thanks very much. Yeah, I'll do that. Goes on the fridge. And then Dale gets called for the next one and the next one. I met him in May. And by November, he said to his family, sorry, kids, we have to cancel Christmas. We'll have it sometime in February because I'm too busy. I'm working on the cafe.
Of course.
Right.
Yep. Summer too. So
yeah. And from his plan B method, I teach everybody this plan B method and how to be someone's plan B. And it's as a follow-up. Right. So someone doesn't know to buy it straight away, but you become the plan B and then they have the option to get you. So a pet sitter who I met a few years ago, she's come to classes and she said, well, people think that they they get their sister to do it, or they get their niece and nephew or the kid down the street, and they think because it's cheap or it's free. But, what happens if, something happens to the pet, or what happens if, because pet sitters, when they do the pet sitting course, like they go really bananas on, no, you've got to get a professional because it's really bad to leave a pet in just anyone's care, right? Even if it's your brother's, no. But then they also look from the perspective of, what if your brother was coming over, had a car accident on the way, and now can't feed the dog, and the dog's been starved to death, right? Ooh, there's a problem, right? If something happens to your brother and then he ends up in hospital, and then who's looking after the dog? Nobody, right? Yep. So I said, all right, so based off all of that, I said, you've got to accept that owners are going to go for free first, or as cheap as possible, or pay the kid down the street, because we like doing that for the kids on the street, right?
Yep.
So that's going to happen first. So I said, so what you need is the magnet plan B. I'm happy to be your plan B. You're going away, need someone to look after your dog. I'm happy to be your plan B. And I said, and what you do is you give it to people who have dogs and say, ask them, when you go away, who do you get to look after your dog? Oh, no, my sister does it. It's all right. I've got it covered. My niece does it. Yeah, great. Could you give them this magnet? So if anything happens to them, let's say your niece gets sick and your sister can't come over because she's had to go to hospital to look after your niece and no one can look after your dog, I'm happy to be their plan B. Any chance you can give that to your sister. So if she can't make it, she calls me, I come fix the dog, and I'll just fix it up with you later on. And of course, the owner goes, oh my God, that'd be good. Oh my God, what if my sister got sick? Look after my dog, right? So then there's a plan B, right? And then of course the owner says, and then Katrina says, and while you're at it, you can have one too if you like, because if anything happens to her, you can just call me and I'm happy to do it too, right? And so it only takes one fight with the sister to turn around and go, you know what? I'm not asking that favour. Yep. I'm just going to call the pet sitter and get her to do it. And so in the space of a year, she went from trying to explain herself to people to being the plan B to becoming plan A. In less than 3 years, she has more work than she can handle. I never see her. And she said, like, I'm booked out until, July of 2025.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, yeah, right. Right. So there's little things, but notice it all comes, these sales things all come from networking. Just little things that you have to learn. You only need a couple of things, and then it's all it all works for sales at the other side, what you learn along the way, right? But a lot of your work comes originally from the group.
I adore that plan B line. That's genius, because at the moment, well, not at the moment, but there's always been, I guess, a critique out there somewhat, often from customers, clients, that sales closing techniques can sometimes feel pushy.
It's awful, isn't it? Mm-hmm.
So
the salesman doesn't like doing it, and the customer doesn't want to hear it, right? So here it becomes, right? So it's this plan B. I teach it so much that when my book came out last year, How to Go From No Sales to Sales, this is step number 4, right? So there's 5 steps on how to go from no sales to sales. One is get known for that thing that you sell. Elevator pitch, right? As the example, get known for that thing. Number 2, deliver the price. No discounting, no sounding anxious. Learn to deliver the price, and when they know what you sell and you can say the price, they can choose to buy. Step number 3, be silent. When they know the price and how much it costs, stop talking so the customer can go, oh, I'll have 4. Thank you very much. Here's my card. Right? Just stop talking, because they don't need more information. Now, from time to time, a customer is getting information they're not looking to buy right now.
Yes.
That's when you need step number 4, have a plan. Step number 4 is have a follow-up system, right? Or it might be that they've collected the information like, oh, it costs. So I've got a guy who's a cleaner, right? He now cleans houses in Sydney. He's so busy that he just doubled his price overnight for the purpose of cutting down the volume, right? Amazing at what they do and how they do stuff, right? Anyhow, they call him up. And they'll say, Glenn, how much does it cost for you to clean a house, 3-bedroom house? I want to get my bond back, right? In Sydney. And he'll say, $2,500. $2,500? are you joking? He says, no. And he says, but, well, I've rung some other cleaners and they're like $1,000. And Glenn says, they'll do an amazing job. You should get that guy.
Mm.
And he says, and I'm happy to be your plan B. Plan B? What's a plan B? Well, you get the other guy. He'll do an amazing job. You'll get your bond back. But if something happens and he gets sick, let's say he gets COVID, and it worked beautifully because it was just as COVID hit. He said, and we're thinking that COVID's going to last 2 weeks, right? So he says, let's say he just gets sick and he gets COVID and then he's not allowed to do anything for a week. He said, just call me. I'll just come in and send my crew through and we'll just do it for you. Oh, shit. My guy could get COVID. Hang on a second. I think I'll just go with you.
Mm.
And that's how it is. But notice Glenn's not trying to say, we'll see the difference between me at $2,500 and that guy at 1,000. He just says, 1,000, that's a good deal. Go for that.
Yep.
He's trying to do the job. What's the difference between you and him? Glenn says, I don't know. Well, why do you charge so much? That's just my price.
Mm-hmm.
Why does that guy only charge 1,000? I have no idea.
Yep.
And that's what he's learnt to say, is just answer the question exactly as is. Don't explain anything, because you can't explain any of this to a customer. Why is your price $2,500? I mean, the real answer is, well, I had to make it up just to stop customers, to slow customers down. But, but the answer is really because it is.
Yep.
Why is Cadbury's chocolate 1 week $5.50 at the supermarket and the next week $2.75? Because it is. Because that's its turn. That's what they've decided this week. There's no explanation, just is.
Mm.
So step number 4 is have a follow-up system. Plan B is a big, heavy one in that, but just how to be able to contact the person, check in without saying, how did you go with my quote? How did you go with the other guy? Is he going to come and fix that for you? Yeah, no, I've hired him and he's really pissing me off. Well, if he doesn't finish that job for you, you let me know. We'll fix that for you, because I'm not happy with other cleaners doing the wrong thing by you. God, I haven't even hired the guy, right? So in the end, even if they get a different cleaner, not Glenn, they get all their bond back. The cleaner does a good enough job. Glenn still checks in and says, how did it go? Did you get your bond back? I did, but I tell you, I'm only recommending you. You've been so nice and you checked in on me and I didn't even pay any money. Okay, so I just want to make sure that everything was fine, right? So that's the follow-up system. So step number 4, have a follow-up system that just makes you a nice person. And people go, oh, I really just want you. And then that's 4. And step number 5 is get known by more people. That could be social media. It could be networking. It could be websites. It could be whatever it is. Extend your footprint. Get known by more. Get known by more who know what you sell, know your price, so that then when you're silent, they can choose to buy or not buy, so you can follow up and see, and it just goes in a circle, right?
Yep.
So in here, in step number 4, I tell you how to follow up in different ways, but then there's, exercises on how to do it. And it's a game. We call it at home, it's called Beat the Salesman. And so it has scripts. I'll say this, you say this. I'll run my bit, you run your bit, and you see who, as the customer, do you buy from me or do you buy from the other guy? And I tell you, every time we practice this, right?
Yep.
They end up going, oh, God, you're so nice. So it did it in the car one day. My son's 13, right? And we're driving home from Canberra to Chinchilla. So I live like 1,200 kilometres from Canberra, right? It takes 2 days to drive home. So we've got Simon, so my husband, so we've got Simon and the boys, Jack and I are in the car. Jack's 13 and he says, all right, we'll play Beat the Salesman and we're going to play I'll Be Plan B. Righto. So I said to Jack, I said, all right, I'll be the salesman. So let's pretend you've called me up and you're asking to buy something. So what are you buying? He says, I'm after controller sticks for my PlayStation. Righto. Yeah, no problems, mate. Yep, I sell those. They're $1,000. $1,000, says Jack. He said, but I found them online for $500. Oh, that sounds like a good deal. You should get those. And I'm happy to be your plan B, buddy. And Jack goes, okay, all right, no problems. And I hang up the phone and Jack goes, oh, I should probably look into that. And I said, how'd you go? He goes, well, I'm a little worried, actually, because the salesman was selling them at 1,000. He said 500 was a really good price, but I'm now thinking maybe I didn't look right on the internet. I mean, he's 13, right? Don't even look for it, right? Maybe it's not a PlayStation branded one. Maybe it's a third party one. Maybe that 500 was from America. It might not be Australian dollars. It could be more than 500. I don't know what the shipping is. I wonder what happens if it's broken. Maybe it's not brand new. Maybe that was secondhand that I was looking for. So he's thinking of all these problems. The salesman didn't bring it up. He just gets off the phone going, oh, I'm a little concerned about this price gap. 13-year-old kid. I'm concerned about this price gap. There's clearly something wrong here. 1,000 to 500, right? Because see, we salesmen think that customers aren't smart and they can't work this out. But if a 13-year-old can, imagine an adult who's had more time on the planet. Imagine what they can work out, right?
Yeah.
So then I said, all right, let's go the other way. So he brought up all of these concerns, right? And he said, what if it's broken? How long will it take? Do I ship it back and then will they give me a new one? Or do I have to wait for it to be fixed? He said, oh, I've got so many more questions now. I need to look into this. Right. So I hear all the problems that you've got there. Right, let's do it again. I'll be an olden day salesman, right? Right? Back in the past, before we had Google. Right.
Of course, yeah.
Right? Because see, sales are different now because of Google. Sales are different. Customers can look up all this stuff, right? So ring, ring, Jack calls me. Oh, hi, how you going? You know, whoever it is. And he says, my name's Jack. I want to know if you sold PlayStation control sticks. Yeah, I do. How much are they? $1,000. $1,000? Wow, I've just found some online for 500. I think I'll get those ones. Oh, well, mate, you could, but have you looked into it? Like, have you really looked into it? Because, you know, that's quite a price difference. Was that in Australian dollars, that $500 one? Jack's like, I don't know. And he said, were they brand new? Were they third-party ones? Does it come with a warranty? Do you know what the shipping price is? How long does it take to get to you? Because I've got some here and you could just take them away today. Ours comes with a warranty that if it's broken when you get home, just come in, we just give you brand new ones and we deal with the broken ones. Right? It comes with 3 warranty. You can just switch that out whenever you like. So as a salesman, I'm pleasant, right? I'm bringing up all these problems, you know, for him to look into. All right. So, and yeah, is it in American dollars or is it in Australian dollars? It definitely sounds like American dollars. There'll be a conversion price. Some might be a bit less, but it's probably, you know, maybe about the same. How long will it take to ship to you? If there's a warranty on it and it needs to be sent somewhere, how long does it take to ship there, get it fixed and come back? Do you know if you have to pay for the shipping if it's broken, or do they do that for you? Jack's like, I actually don't know the answers to any of these questions. Well, all right, then. He says, I should probably look into this more. Yeah, you should, but, you know, I've got this here and you can just come and get it. Jack says, okay. So he hangs up the phone and he goes, yeah, I don't like it. Not buying it. He said, you know, I'm concerned about those ones. I said, how'd you go? And he goes, well, I am concerned about the $500 ones. And he said, so I'm going to look into it and I'm going to buy it from I'm going to buy the $1,000 ones from another store. And I've gone, what's wrong with the salesman? He said, I didn't like how he spoke to me. What do you mean? I said, I was pleasant. I said what I had. I heard what you said. I gave some ideas for you to look into. He goes, oh, stupid. I can look into those things myself. I know the difference between $500 and $1,000. I don't need to be told by someone of problems that I don't know of yet. He said, so I hear what he said, like what the salesman said, but I didn't like being spoken to like that. Now, it's a 13-year-old kid. And I was pleasant. So imagine how an adult feels who has Google now and can do all of this by themselves.
Yeah.
So times have changed entirely. So that becomes the game. Beat the salesman, I'll be your plan B. And whenever you get to the plan B, they go, I just can't be bothered doing it myself. I did it with Simon, right? Simon says, all right, I want grass in the backyard. No problems, mate. Starts at $5,000. $5,000? Get down the street and get grass then, do it myself. He goes, no problems, mate. I'm happy to be your plan B. And Simon's like, fuck, I don't want to do it. I can't play and grow the grass.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Or, you know, for $1,000, I can go get the grass and lay it myself. Yeah, no problems, mate. Happy to be your plan B. Well, now I'm stuck laying the grass. You're like, I don't want to do that. And suddenly you know the difference of the price to what it is that you want to do, and you'll make an informed decision, right? So, and Simon's a frugal guy. and he's very handy. But even when we're just playing it, he's just going, yeah, no, I'm not going to lay grass. All right, let's go with another thing. But it's sometimes I'm on the phone, someone will call me and they'll say, all right, so I handed this quote over and then I did this. And I said, okay, so you said what exactly? And Simon's in the background going, just say, I'm happy to be your plan B. Just let him go. I'm happy to be your plan B. It's going to get him every time.
He's all over it. He's nailed it.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So how do you find, you brought up a little bit earlier, Missy, the idea of people being hesitant in speaking about money, specifically how much they charge for their services.
Yep.
How common is that, first of all? And I guess what would your suggestion sort of be for people that are a bit hesitant or don't really know how to go about bringing up their own prices? And at what stage do you feel is the best place to bring that up?
Sure. So price is the reason. All right. So when it comes to selling, I believe pretty much everyone on the planet has had some sort of sales training. By the time it comes to selling your own thing, you've had some sort of sales training. You've read a book, you've read a personal development book or a sales book, or someone's given you some ideas, you've looked at a podcast. There's something, right? Just basic background training just of your life right up until this moment. There's some sort of sales training in there somewhere. Besides the fact that we're born as salesmen, I mean, we were born, we cried, mum came running. I mean, how much more basic can it become, right?
Yes.
So it's in there somewhere. But here's what I know. More than 98% of people who have done some sort of sales training, whether it be a book or a full program, fail to sell. So I looked into what is stopping someone from selling. And it really comes down to this, sales anxiety. I don't want to be considered that pushy person. I don't want to be seen as a used car salesman. I don't want to seen as like that person on TV. Like, I don't want to push someone into it. I don't know if they've got any money. But where does sales anxiety come from? Well, it's all about the money. The reason we have sales anxiety is because stuff costs money. And the anxiety is, well, if I can't afford it, how can I expect someone else to buy it? Or just because I believe in it, can afford it, doesn't mean the next person does. So all of our concerns and emotions around money get put into that question. When a customer says, how much is it? That's actually all they're asking. How much is it for these pair of jeans, right? All they're asking is that. And the answer could be $60. The answer could be $900. But what they get is, oh, well, you see, they're designer jeans. And then, and now the price isn't the problem. They're designer jeans. So because they're designer jeans and this is a store and because of, this, where we're at in the location, we pay a lot for rent, like they're $900. And asking that, I just asked, how much was it? I'm not after somebody's thoughts and opinions about money when I ask a price. I'm just after the price. And salesmen unconsciously hand over all their thoughts and fears. But what's interesting is the salesman's fear is not so much in the price, but they're concerned about the customer's reaction to the price. They try to help the customer have a good reaction. So it becomes, oh, well, let me explain first the benefits so that I can tell you the price. Customer, I just want to know if I've got that money in my card. Like, I don't need I was planning on buying, right? Yep. But what the customer hears from that hesitation, that, oh, well, you see, is not, oh, they're worried that I won't like the price. What they're hearing is, oh, salesman doesn't really believe in the price and thinks it's a ripoff, so I shouldn't buy it.
Yep.
So the customer hears a completely different story to what the salesman is telling themselves.
Yes.
And because of that, sales is now hard. So I teach, just say the price. Oh, well, you see, I can't. Why not? It's not a secret, and that's the line. Your price is not a secret. Well, for some, they consider it is because it depends on what someone's buying, but it doesn't. Even with coaching, I'll say, how much is coaching? Well, it depends. No, it doesn't. It starts somewhere. Oh, but see, I do these packages. And start then, right? Even acupuncture. I had someone years ago when I first started running, I used to run these 6-week sales classes, and one of them was delivering the price. And so I said, how much is it for acupuncture? And he says, oh, well, you see, the first, gosh, I didn't ask any of that. I just said, how much is it? he says, well, see, the first one is 120, but then after that, it drops down to 90. All right, what's the difference? Well, the first one is I've got to take complete history, so it takes longer. Right. So acupuncture starts at $120 because you can't get the second one without the first. So it starts at 120. Goes, but not everything's 120 after that. I said, but I'm not asking for everything else. I'm just saying, how much does it cost? It starts at 120. What does it go up to? Well, as many appointments as you have. Even the customer can work that out.
Yes.
They're not going to ask that, right? But now let's get specific. So here's a question for you, Nathan. Did you know that acupuncture can help alleviate the symptoms of hay fever?
I did not know that, no.
Right. So it can. Apparently, if you suffer from hay fever, like have every day your whole entire life and just doped up on Sudafed and everything else, tissues, days off work, acupuncture can help alleviate all of that, right? So I said, great. How much does that cost? Oh, well, you see, it depends. No, it really doesn't. What does it depend on? Well, how many appointments you come to? So surely in acupuncture, you have an idea. I mean, history must say there's an average amount that you need to go. What would it be, right? So this guy turns around and he says, honestly, 16 appointments in 8 weeks. Piss off. Really? He said, yeah. He said, so 2 appointments a week every week for 8 weeks will massively cut down the symptoms of hay fever. Like, as in, it feels like it's gone pretty much all the time, right? Now, what's interesting is I said, what if I take those 16 appointments over 16 weeks? He said, you might need 24 or 32.
Wow.
It's taken a long time between each appointment. So it's come back, right? So, okay, that's interesting. So then how much does that cost? And he goes, well, you see, no, it doesn't. Because if you're saying, let's say $100 per appointment, let's just go $100 per appointment.
Yep.
16 appointments, that's $1,600. So you're saying, and here it comes, right? As a customer, pretending to be a customer. So what you're saying is for me to alleviate these symptoms of hay fever, it's going to cost me $1,600 over the next 8 weeks to alleviate that. And of course, that's where the salesman gets fidgety. Oh, well, yes, but you see, but actually all the customer's asking is, so you're telling me it's going to cost me $1,600?
Yep.
The answer is yes. It's not for the salesman to try and combat in any way. The answer is just yes. I mean, if that was Google and Google could flat out answer that question, Google would say, yeah. I don't like that answer. Google will be sitting there going, I can't help you if you don't like it. I'm just telling you the answer. You don't have to like it. You just have to know it, right? So it's a salesman's job to just answer the question and then let the customer deal with their thoughts and feelings. When it comes to price, here's an interesting thing, Nathan. It doesn't matter what the price is. It could be high, it could be low, it could be free. The first time someone says, how much is it? And they hear that price, high, low, or free, they'll have a negative reaction. Are you joking? You must be kidding. Don't you value yourself? Oh my God, you're a highway robber. What are you trying to do? Steal money from everyone? Did people really pay that free? What are you, insane? It's all negative, right? So what I teach salesmen is deliver the price and expect the negative outcome and sit there silently while they rhetorically get all their thoughts and feelings out of their head. I mean, I have discovered with children, particularly the youngest one, he's 11 now, and he's still, wow, he throws whoppers of tantrums, right? And I just go, well, just let you throw that. And when you've finished, we'll go on and do something else, right? And his tantrum can be an hour, slam doors and go into his room and, okay, let's not go near him until he comes out. But when he comes out, he's sorted himself out because nobody else has sorted it out. So we're not going to try and fix that because we're just alleviating it. We're just extending the pain. Let him work it out in his head. These are the rules. That's how it is. Yep. And then let it sort out. And so really that's what the customer says. When the customer makes a comment out loud, it's not an objection, by the way. This is where salesmen go wrong. In the past, before Google, traditional sales training would teach this, right? And I say before Google because before Google, customers went to salesmen to get all of their information. So they'd say, hey, I'm not sleeping very well. I think I need a new mattress. Can you tell me about these? In today's world, since Google, customer says, yeah, I want that mattress. because they've Googled all the answers. And so they're not interested in the salesman's thoughts, ideas, opinions, nothing. They just want to finish whatever it is that they had already thought to do, but they want to hand the money to a person that smiles and says thank you, because they don't want a completely digital transaction. That's why they go to a salesman, right? So times have changed. So in the past, salesmen were taught that customers objected to pretty much everything, right? As they do. The price is high, the price is low. Don't you value yourself? Oh my God, that seems too low. You should charge more than that. I don't want to pay more than that. You know, free, you must be insane. So the salesman is always trying to overcome the objection the customer brings up. But truthfully, the customer is never objecting. They're commenting, complaining very loudly, but they're commenting. If you think about it, every single comment or so-called objection that the customer makes, it's rhetorical. They happened to say it out loud, and the salesman heard and felt the need to explain. Now, if a customer doesn't make an objection, just makes a comment, which is, stuff off, you must be joking. Seriously, nobody must pay that amount. Surely nobody pays that, right? The salesman, if you start with, oh, well, here, let me explain, right? The moment the salesman says, let me explain, the salesman treated the customer's comment as an objection. And the moment the salesman treats it as an objection, the customer can object and walk. But if you keep the comment as a comment, oh my God, you must be joking, who pays that? There's only one answer that the salesman has to say in pretty much every case. I know, crazy, isn't it? It acknowledges what the customer said, doesn't disagree with them, but it doesn't explain anything either.
Yep.
And now the customer gets stuck with, it is, but I need it. We don't have to buy it. Okay. Now, here's my background of how I know that this works so well. I'll ask you this question. Have you ever bought groceries before?
Yes.
Crazy question, right? Now, have you ever had to go into the store to buy one thing, let's say milk or coffee, one thing, and left with $50 worth of groceries in a bag going, how? How did this happen?
Yes.
Here's how it happened. First off, you went in to buy the one thing, and then you walk past all these silent things sitting on a shelf with their price. This is how people buy, right? Something sits silently on a shelf with its price and we buy it. Do you know, I've worked it out. There's only two things that I can think of that we will buy without a price. Actually, three, because someone else gave me the third one, that we will buy without a price. Petrol. But we have to go to a petrol station for that, right? Because we've kind of looked for it, but in the end, if you need fuel, you're going to the first place. It doesn't matter the costs. You're not leaving without the fuel, right? Petrol is one. But in a supermarket, there's only two things: toilet paper. You are not going to leave. If you go to get your toilet paper and for whatever reason that price isn't there, you will stand there looking, going, oh my God, how hard is it for someone to do their job? But I'm going to have to get it anyway. Mentally, for most of us, we go a bit nutty when we can't see the price. Even if we know the price and we know we've got enough money, we just want them to do their job, right?
Yep.
And the other one is dog food. You will not change a brand of dog food for your dog just because the price isn't there. You'll complain at the shelf for about 17 minutes, then you'll pick it up and you'll leave with it. But you won't leave without it, right?
Yep.
So everything else, though, if the price isn't there, we're pretty stuck and can't buy, right? So that's how we get it. It ends up at the checkout. And then when we scan it through the checkout, $50? Are you joking? Right? And then we're stuck with this silent, the checkout is like the silent salesman, right? Looking at us going, well, I don't mind. I mean, you can leave the bag behind.
Yep.
You take just the coffee, which is what you're after, or you just buy it all. Like, I don't mind. I really got no opinion. I'm just going to sit and wait. Fine. I'll feed in the money. I'll take the stuff. God damn it. How dare you? But notice when we're at the checkout, we don't say out loud, oh my God, $50, where did all this come from? We just say it in our head because we're worried people think we're nuts. But when there's a physical person standing in front of us, for some reason, we're happy to look like an idiot.
Yep.
And we will just spill out all the thoughts in our head, right? And the truth is if the salesman remains silent and doesn't critique that in any way, like the checkout, thing is to just go, I know, there's nothing that can be done here, right?
Yeah.
And the customer still chooses to buy. So your question was, how do you deliver the price? First off, right, the person who refuses to, and I've found some who just say, no, I must explain first. You really don't. I've worked it out. I met a guy a couple of years ago who he goes into businesses and teaches staff from all the different areas how to play Minecraft. It's so cool. So for 4 hours, he goes in and these people from all these different areas go in and they build a city, right? And the idea behind it is getting people from the different sections to talk to each other. And when they're building a city, well, you have to design it, right? So you've got the swimming pool, you've got the church, you've got the car park. How far away from each other are they? What's the color scheme? How are we going with this, right? So creativity, working together, right? Particularly people who don't get along. Well, now all of a sudden we have to build a city. We don't want to lose, right? Well, that's cool. How much does that cost? And he goes, oh, well, see, I'll need to explain more about what it is I do. No, you really don't. That's really cool. Like, how much does that cost? He couldn't say it. Part of why he couldn't say it was either he didn't know his price or he would vary it. Maybe a lot of people vary it. Well, it depends on how much money I think you have. Honestly, that makes no sense. Because, I mean, if you think I've got more money and then you charge me more, but I can only afford for you to come back once, I mean, makes no sense. You just charge me the price and then I can hire you back a second time, right? So they don't want to say the price. But then others say, no, don't say the price because it will frighten the customer. Well, the customer's already worked it out. Just because I don't like the price doesn't mean I'm not planning on buying it. It just means I don't like it. It's a completely different thing, right? So some people don't say it because they want to change their price or they haven't made up their price yet. They just haven't decided. So they don't know what they're doing. And if I make it, and they have this crazy idea. This is the craziest idea ever. There's so many myths out there in selling is, well, see, the reason I didn't get the job is because my price was, well, it would seem too high. On the other hand, I didn't get the job because my price was too low for that company. They didn't believe in training that was that low. Okay, that's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Right? It could seem that way. Or maybe you didn't explain that they needed a second training to go along with it. I mean, if you've got a lower, if you think you've got a low training point, it's low because you want to go back and you want to go back. Don't think the customer can work this strategy out by themselves. So you say to them, this is how much it costs. And for the second lot of training, this is what I recommend they have. So you start here and they should be good to go. But if they need a second lot, here's what I would suggest. You know, so now all of a sudden the training is costing more. It's now just split up over banks of time, right?
Yes.
It becomes easier to buy for a long period of time. You keep a sale, like you keep that person for a long period of time. Now you've got them sort of almost like on a rotate, right? So, so that's some reasons why they don't say it. Others just literally don't know how to say it. Oh my God, I've never had to say it before. Others don't even know their price. But I had one girl, right? She's made a board game and it's called Find Your Bling. So you literally can Google that. Find Your Bling. It's a board game, right? And it's a coaching board game, right? And it was originally made for coaches, but it's anyone can buy it. It's $250. She had to come to class and practice say it's $250 and listen to people say, piss off, I wouldn't spend that for a game. $250, Monopoly's only $20. How's yours $250? And she'd have to say, I know, crazy, right? And then that's it, right? So she sells this game at $250. So she's learnt to say, I've made a board game. It's called Find Your Bling. It costs $250. And the people who buy it love playing it. The people who buy it are coaches and use it to help their clients move forward. It could be something simple like that, right? So she says, so I went to this networking event. So this is the next thing that I teach. Don't worry about what other people say about your price, because here's what you'll get. She goes to a networking event. She said, I had 2 people at a live event come up to me and say, oh, I heard you say your price. No, you should never do that. And she said, why not? It's not a secret. Like if you ask me, I'll tell you. And if you Google it, it's on my website. So it's not a secret. And then they're standing there going, oh, actually, so that sounds like a good idea. Yeah, and she says, is your price a secret? Well, not now that you've put it that way. Is it on a website? Yeah. So then tell them your price. That's what people want to know. So, of course, those two that said, oh, well, there's an interesting idea. They've gone, so can I see the game? I think I want to buy one. She goes, and that's how it's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? That's literally how it's done. She said, it's amazing. Every time she says a price, someone has some reaction. And then they go, well, can I look at it? Oh my God, can I just buy it? It looks fancy. So it's you get over the fact that it's 250.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just go, oh, it looks so good. And now I want to play it. And how do I learn to play? And have you got to wait? And so, you know, in the end, you just see it for what it is. So it's $250, but that's the price, right?
Yep.
Prices can't be changed. I teach this all the time. You can't change a price. You can change the thing. The price is not negotiable. I'll give you an example. Right. Here's the Coke, right? Pretend this is a schooner of beer. So when I was a barmaid, right, I used to sell schooners of beer, let's say for $5. Someone would come in, you know, can I have a beer? No problems. Here's a schooner, $5, right? But sometimes I get the young kids come in, you know, they'll be 18 years old and say, Misty, I've got no money, but I really want a beer. Well, how much have you got? I've got $2. Great, I'll take it, right? So I take their $2 and I give them this much beer. And they go, what? I thought I was getting a whole drink. No. This is $5. You had two. You get $2 worth. Hey, I'm not letting you leave with your money. I'm just not giving you a full amount for the less price. So the price isn't negotiable. The product is. And as a result, the price will change according to now what the new product is.
Yep. Makes sense.
But price can't be changed.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So, so that's, get comfortable with that. Sales is easy. Because that's really the only thing that gets in the way of everything is our inability to say that price thing easy. So did I answer those questions? Let's see. You said, how do you teach it? Just say it and wait for everyone's reaction and stand there quietly and go, I know, it's crazy. Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah, it's crazy, right? And then you'll only come up to a real objection, which is, I'd love to buy it, but I don't have any money. Here's your answer. You'll love this. I understand exactly how you feel. See, traditional sales training would teach, when someone says, I don't have any money, would teach the salesman, it's your problem and your problem to deal with. And that's how we got interest-free credit cards. But I mean, that was for furniture. That was for computers. That was for electrical products. Like, that's for a car, right? If you're selling a big thing and they don't have any money, then you have to help them get that. But for everything else, and now with so many credit cards, customers can work out how to get the money. And like one of my boys, they turn and say, I don't need to be told where to find money, thanks very much. I can work that one out on my own. When I say I don't have any money, I mean I don't have any money right now because I left my wallet at home. That's what my boys will say. And Mum won't spot me until I get back. So I literally don't have any money. It doesn't mean I don't have the money. I just don't have any on me at this second. So again, sales is different. We salesmen think we have to fix all of these problems because traditional sales training, old sales training taught us all of that. But moving forward, customer doesn't want any of this. And if a 13-year-old or an 11-year-old can tell you that, then imagine how an adult feels when we treat them like as if they're dumber than children.
Yes.
Right?
100%.
Crazy. So, yeah.
I really like, there's so much to unpack there, Misty, but the idea of speaking about money is such a big one. For some reason, the perception that I get or through a couple of conversations with other people is it's almost like they think that they'll be able to trick the person, for argument's sake, that can't afford the services, for example, that if they hold back the price long enough, they'll be able to trick them into thinking they can afford
because
it.
I'm going to give you the features and benefits so that you understand. You can't.
Yep.
Features and benefits are different. I mean, I'm not sure how old you are, but I'm assuming that I'm probably a bit older than you, but, you know.
I'm 39 and near on 39, a couple of days.
46, right? So I'm only a little bit older than you. So you grew up in the world of ads on TV for milk, which is great for growing bones, valuable source of calcium, good for teeth, right?
Yep.
As a mom of 2 kids, I hold milk for one reason, and milk has never sold this to me. But here's the reason, right? I don't worry about their reasons. 5 o'clock at night, when I want the kids to come out and have dinner and turn the media off, they yell at me. So I make them a hot chocolate. Do you know how hard it is to yell at your mother while you're holding a cup of hot chocolate? Now, when I say hot, I mean it's barely tepid. Like, I mean, it's so barely warm, right? But do you know how hard it is to hold the cup of milk, be angry, and not spill it everywhere? So they can't. So they stop yelling. They sit down with it. They stop yelling. I have that for what? That's the only reason. As for great for growing bones and all that, turns out children grow anyway. You can't stop that from happening. I mean, my youngest, he had more milk than anyone else. His first layer of teeth, Grep teeth, his first layer of teeth were like chalk. They just fell out of his head. Like they literally snapped off. And he was at the dentist from the age of 4, at the dentist, having fillings, teeth pulled and everything else. Second layer of teeth, strongest things ever.
Yeah, right.
Just the way the cookie crumbles. And I say, what brought that about? The dentist said, could be anything, could be nothing. It could have been while you were pregnant. Who knows? It's not really a matter of why. It's a matter of what do we do now? Let's fix what we do now and look at what comes next. So, and he had all the milk that apparently did the right things. Second kid, teeth are magnificent like mine. Mine, absolutely not a single spot of anything on until after I had the children. So not until after I was, 36 or something like that. So I thought, well, Jake's probably going to be the same like me. He might never get a filling until 36. Mind you, he's never getting pregnant. So, he might never have that problem. But, whereas Noah's second teeth seem to be brilliant, he may never end up with the trouble ever again. So who knows, right? Yeah.
Misty, I'm curious. You've clearly had a lot of great successes in your career so far. What do you, if I were to ask you what you consider your biggest win in your career to be so far, what comes to mind with that question?
Okay, you'll love this. So as a coach, when I was learning coaching, we weren't allowed to start, I used to start as life coaching, right? But then it pretty much falls across the board for all coaching, right? We were told that you couldn't sell it for less than $150 or it will ruin the industry, right? Right? If you sell it for less than that, it's going to annihilate the industry because, people are not going to understand the actual price of coaching. All right, no problems. All right. Turns out nobody is that famous that they can't just pick their own price. And it's really, one single person can't pull down the entire industry. Here's where I give you an example, right? Tony Robbins. You know how much Tony Robbins charges for coaching these days? Right? He does these 4 days Date with Destiny shows, right? 4 days, minimum 16 hours. I'm not even going to give you a chance to guess. $800 in Australia, right? For 4 days with Tony Robbins, right? minimum 16-hour days, probably 20 hours, but let's work on 16 hours. So it's like 2 full work days over the course of that. So it works out to be $200 a day he's charging for this. And you work that out, divided by 16 hours, it's $12.50 an hour the man charges. And yet he's considered the one that brings the whole industry up. So clearly his price does nothing to upset an industry. And nobody follows his rule. Nobody's even looked into it, but I like my maths. I like my sales. I look into it, right? Yep. So going back in time, 150, I ended up doing sales training at $250 a session. Now I'm around coaches and people all the time. I run networking groups. I run sales classes, So I have these big groups around all the time. And so I see all sorts of different people. And there's not a thing that can't be sold. And I have the answer for it 100% every time because I've pretty much met everyone. And then I meet people who've invented these really bizarre things, and yet it can be sold. And I've even worked out how to sell, like to be a Rubik's Cube coach, because my youngest is a Rubik's Cuber, right? And all the answers are on YouTube. So I've gone, actually, it's probably the only thing you can't sell. And then he was at a Rubik's Cube competition early in the year. So he's 11, right? He was at a Rubik's Cube competition and he was practicing, waiting for his turn to go into the comp, right? And it's done on a timing thing. He was practicing. And a kid walked past and bumped into him, turned around and said, sorry. No, I stopped and said, it's all right, mate. And I've gone, that could be it. So like I say, here, I'll time you, see how fast you are, right? And then he gets partway through, he goes, oh, I've made a mistake. Stop the clock, we'll start again. I've gone, so you can't do that in the middle of the competition. He goes, well, I won't do it in the competition, I only do it with you. And I said, so I'll be your distraction coach. I'm going to time you to solve the cube while I'm pushing you and stamping on your foot. And can you do it through a distraction? A bit like, remember Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, where she blew on his ear when he...
Yeah.
That, right? And he got better at solving the cube with the distractions of what he could when he didn't have it. And I'm going, see now, that's a payable product. Pay someone to bump you around a bit, like, that's your distraction coach, right?
Yep.
So there's nothing that can't be sold. Where were we headed? What were we talking about?
Your biggest win.
Biggest win. Right. So I charge coaching $250, right? And then COVID hits. And I would get clients, but you spend most of the year without clients. But you get clients, and I run all these different classes and stuff. And then sometimes someone says, actually, I want you to myself and I need a hand and I've got this big problem. And I do the coaching for $250, right? And because that's the price, the standard price of what, industry sets. It's what I'm worth, right? And coaching is worth that much. And it's still less than, most sales trainers, right? Then COVID comes along and we're all online. And I had a girlfriend who's a parenting coach. She wrote the most amazing parenting book called Your Passport to Parenting. And she now lives over in Hawaii. But behind this book, she coaches parents. And she calls me up in 2021, right after a year of COVID. And she says, Missy, I have decided that COVID has been so hard on parents. I've decided that in 2021, I want to help as many parents as I can in 2021 for $20.21. And I'm gone, that's the funniest thing I've ever heard. I tell you what, I'll run the experiment too. I'm going to drop all my $250 sales training to $20.21 for an entire year. Let's see who wants coaching for $20, because either you want sales training or you don't. But is it the price that's the problem, or is it that they don't want the training? I mean, what's the difference between, like, let's say at $250, let's say I have, I don't know, 20 coaching sessions, right, over the course of the year, right? Or even if it was, let's say 20, right? One every 2 weeks, right? $250, I'm around lots of people, but, you've got to have the 250, right? But these are everyday startup type, everyday people, right? Who've spent lots of money in different areas. And they've done some sort of sales training, right? So let's say I have 20, so average coach wouldn't even get 20 coaching sessions over the course of the year. Probably lucky to get 5 if they get 5, right? So we'll go from that, and I'll just make it $20, $20.21. It's a great advertising thing. How many people are going to help in 2021 for 2021? It becomes a really funny joke, right? But that's the experiment for the year. So I've gone, well, let's find out. I mean, if I don't get any coaching, it means nobody actually wants help in this area, in which case I'm selling something nobody wants. Mm-hmm. So now I don't have to sell it, right? So then people start buying it. But the people who buy it aren't just people who want it. They're the ones that come to my group sales classes. I've gone, but you pay to be in class. Why don't you ask the question? And then they say, because I want you all to myself. Oh. And for $20, I get you all to myself. Then others, so see my tickets on my wall, right? So when I had all my sales classes, I used to have like a monthly thing where I'd see the lines of people per month, right? And so let's say that was all my group sales classes, right? And the yellow tickets were the ones that had the 2021. So someone would say, what's the yellow mean? They're the ones that have had a coaching session. So, and it got dubbed a 2021. Can I have a 2021 with you? And what will it be in 2022? Is it going up? Yeah, it is. What's it going up to? $20.22. Okay, I should get them in now, right? So they look and they go, what does the yellow mean on your wall? They've had a 2021. They've had a coaching session. Shit, what color am I on the wall? You're pink. Right. How do I turn yellow? You get a coaching session. Book me in. And then I go, all right then. So what's the big problem? I don't care as long as I turn yellow. Make up the problem for me, fix it, and turn me yellow. I'm sure there's something I can't sell, like, okay, let's go from there. So I very fast started to get all these people. And so I did about 400 coaching sessions across that first year. Then I did it again in 2022. And around about the same, 300, 400. So that was last year because we moved house. So it was less because we moved house. And then this year, because I've earned the right, I now charge $25 for a coaching session, which, everyone says, oh, that's too low. Don't you value yourself? But I mean, the reason is because I actually really get such a kick out of helping people. I'm going to help you anyway, right? But now there's an exchange because, I mean, I could just talk to you. Like you can call me up and say, hey, Missy, get on my podcast. Oh, yeah. What are you selling and how are you doing that? And you know me. I can't help myself. I'm going to give you a couple of sales tips, right?
Yep.
So I might as well earn $25. They get a tip, I earn $25, and they feel like there's a fair exchange. Oh my God, you were so generous with your help, Missy, and with your time. Here's the $25. So they just do it. But then I'd have people who were paying $250 before for a session once every 6 months, but they'd clock up all these, oh my God, I've got this problem, this problem, this problem. Now at $25, they go, oh, can I have 10 sessions? And then they'll go, all right, I have this problem, I'll book in. I'll have this problem, I'll book in. So they'd start to fix themselves faster as well. I mean, if it's an author, and it's an unfair system at $250. I mean, if you're an author and you want to learn how to sell books for $30, and I'm charging $250 to teach you how to do that, let's say you only get one lesson, you've got to sell 10 books just to pay for that coaching session, which means that the first 10 books, and that's just on the coaching session, it's not even to get it printed, don't belong to you. And you had to pay for them to be printed. So it might have cost you $15. You have to sell 20 to make the money for the coaching. So that coaching better be getting you 20, but you're going to need another 20 to get the next question answered. It's just unfair. So I just do it at 25 now, but I get this. Don't you value yourself? Why don't you value yourself? So I have this interesting conversation with my kids, right? Because even they say, I don't know that you charge enough money. Mum, why not? Well, groceries cost $250. You charge $25. Let's take the group sales classes. Groceries cost $250 a week. You charge people $150 for 6 months to have unlimited classes so they can have money for the rest of their life. You charge less than a week's of groceries. I don't think you charge enough. All right, boys, let's look into this. So this has become my biggest accomplishment, really, is learning how to answer these questions or having a conversation, say, with the boys, so that then I know how to pass the information on, which brings about that, I know, crazy, right? It is crazy. How do you make cash, right? So my boys ask, how do you make any money, Mum? Like, what's the plan? How do you, I think you should charge more. I said, well, we could charge more or we could coach more. So let's look at it, right? So I asked him, if I was a YouTuber, how many people, how many subscribers do I want or need to have to consider myself a YouTuber? Do you know what a small child will tell you? Because boys were asking me this question when they were 9. What's the answer that a 9-year-old would say to how many subscribers do I need to consider myself a YouTuber? What do you reckon?
As a 9-year-old, subscribers as a YouTuber, I'm going to go, it's got a 0 on it. So I'm going to go, I'll go 1,000.
A million.
A million, right. Okay.
Kids consider anything less than a million not doing your job. So I said, so if I was a YouTuber, right, and just let's look at it, right? YouTubers are looking for 1 million subscribers. I mean, I don't know if you've heard of Ethan Gamer, but Ethan Gamer has one called Ethan Gamer TV, right? He started when he was 7 years old. His very first, he's now 16, I think. So his very first YouTube thing was, hi guys, I'm Ethan Gamer from Ethan Gamer TV. I live over in the UK. I'm so excited. I'm going to teach you how to play Minecraft. I have no subscribers. So if you like this, press subscribe and like the button, right? Yep. And I'm going to teach you to play Minecraft. Now, every day it took him 10 months to get the first 1,000 subscribers. It took him another 3 months to get to 5,000. It took him another 3 months to get to 100,000 and another 10 months to get to 1 million. It took just short of 2 years for him to get to 1 million subscribers, of him from 7 making a Minecraft video every single day for 2 years to get to 1 million subscribers. So 7-year-old goes to school, comes home, plays Minecraft, videos it, so let's put up, somebody cuts an edit, whatever, right? But he has to go to all this effort. It's called volunteer work. Works for nothing to get 1 million subscribers. Question becomes, how much money do you reckon this kid has? I mean, if he's got 1 million subscribers, how much money do you reckon he's got, right? And people make up all sorts of weird answers, but the truth is we have no idea, but I assume it's more than me.
Yep.
But I literally have no idea, right?
Yes.
So then I ask people, let's assume he's got more than us because he's got a million subscribers. So then I can ask, what does he sell? I mean, the kid works for free teaching us how to play Minecraft. So what is he selling? And they go, oh, well, he has ads on his YouTube. Yeah, but he's actually teaching us that. He didn't ask for the ad. He didn't go to the companies and say, can I rent out my YouTube for you? They went to him because of his subscribers that he worked for. They went to him. It's like Michael Jackson, right? Michael Jackson back in the early 90s was asked by Pepsi, can you be in our ad? And they did that because Michael Jackson had a fan database of over like 50 million, right? So he could sell out concerts of 50,000 in 5 seconds, right? It'd just be done. And Pepsi had gone, well, there's a rock star. Let's get him in our ad and then we'll sell 50,000 bottles of Coke like that. Oh, Pepsi, right? Just like that, right? So they offered him a job. He didn't ask. Nike offered Jordan a job, Michael Jordan a job. He didn't ask. He didn't say, hey, because I'm really popular at basketball, can you hire me? They went to him, right? So that's not the same as what he sells. They went to him. So I ask again, everyone, what does he sell? And I said, because I found out what it was. One day on one of the videos the boys are watching, he goes, I'm so excited. Look at this. This is my 5-year T-shirt. This is the new logo to say I've been doing this for 5 years. And I've got a new T-shirt. And I've gone, oh, he makes T-shirts? I want one of those. And so I bought a T-shirt. I thought, I'm only a fan. I haven't even subscribed. At that point, he had like 2.6 million subscribers. That's what he sold. A logo printed on a T-shirt. He probably only made $1 per T-shirt. And to this day, he probably only makes $1 per T-shirt. The rest goes to the logos, to the shipping, and everything else, right? But the truth is, when you've got 2.5 million subscribers, that's a lot of dollars.
Yes.
And that's how he sold it. It was just, by the way, I got a new logo on my T-shirt, and he didn't even say where it was. I had to go looking to find the website, but I still found it, right?
Yep.
So I say to the boys, coming back to the story, say to the boys, right, well, if to be a YouTuber, I've got to have 1 million subscribers. Well, then for sales class, I want 1 million coaches. Like I want 1 million clients to coach. I want 1 million. I want 1 million in the group sales class, or I want 1 million coaching sessions, right? And so the boys sit there going, well, if it's at $25 and it's 1 million, that's $25 million. You know what, Mum? I think your price is fine. Let's take for $150 for all of my sales classes for 6 months, right? And I run 5 a week. So you're looking at $250 for the year. So half that, 125 classes, opportunity. It's like going to the gym. You have the opportunity to come to that many classes for $150. And the boys go, well, if you get 1 million in that, that's $150 million. Going, yeah. And they're like, yeah, I think that's enough. See, people don't understand that it's about volume of people. How many are you going to help? And when I get asked the question, how are you going to help 1 million people? Like, I mean, how are you going to fit them on a screen? Well, first off, I don't have 1 million knocking on my door. It's not a problem I have to deal with. When I get 1 million, it's a problem. Until I get 1 million, it's not a problem at all, right? And then Jack, he gets really clever and he goes, you know, $1 million is a lot of money, Mum. Yes, it is. How many do we need for 1 million? And it's something like, 6,500 or something. Let's say 7,000. This is about 7,000. He goes, let's do that. Let's get 7,000. Surely that's easier than 1 million. Yeah, see, it's just maths. It's just maths, right? But then I get that question of, why don't you value yourself? I get to say this just on coaching for $25, right? I get to say, well, I value myself at $25 million. How much do you value yourself at? Because I want 1 million. Most people don't want that many clients. And that's what it really comes down to, the price too, is how many clients do you want? I have a girlfriend that coaches, drives her bananas. I charge $25. She charges $1,500 per session per client. So it's $20,000 for the year for her. But as another friend said, I said, oh, it drives that mad. And she said, yeah, but there's a difference. Natalie wants 10 clients a year. You want 1,000. That's a huge difference. So for you to get 1,000 or even 1 million, for you to get that many, you have to charge less so that you're available to more Nat gets to charge high, so she's available to less. And that's the difference as well. So again, price is just, so that's my biggest accomplishment, is just working out, it doesn't matter what you charge. It only comes down to how many people do you want to help?
Yeah.
And that's the sales problem. Work that out. The rest will sort itself out.
I really, really like that, Misty, because you're measuring it different, because you're valuing the scale of how many people you're helping versus the size of your bank account. And inadvertently, if you achieve the scale that you're going for, then your bank account will come along for the ride anyway.
That's right. There's a guy named Zig Ziglar. He used to say, help as many people get what they want so you can have everything you want.
Yeah.
So if you help people get what they want, you'll have everything you want. What do I want? If I want more money, all I have to do is help people have money. If I can help you have money, I'll end up with it too.
Yeah.
And that's it, right? So the secret becomes just help more people, you end up with more. And then it only becomes a timing issue. But the timing issue is only relatable to how many are lined up on the doorstep today anyway, right? So, I've had some people say, I said, like, how many clients do you want? Let's take a network marketing consultant, like a isogenics consultant, right? They help women lose weight. They go through this program. They help you lose weight. So say to one girl, I said, how many clients do you want? She said 50. I said, times it by 10. I mean, if you want 50, write a list of 50 people that you know and convert them. She goes, oh, I can't do that. Why not? I mean, I'm sure you know 50 people who want to fit into a different dress. So I reckon you'll find 50 who want to lose weight. Oh, no, I've tried all those. They won't listen to me. Right. So a conversion problem is really hard. But see, for 500, right, you change the sales problem from converting to getting known by more. So the hardest thing about getting 500 sales is getting known for what you do by 500 people minimum first. And along the way, you probably get 1 out of 10, which is 50. But she said, the original girl, she said, well, I can't handle 500 clients. I said, how do you know? She said, well, my upline said I can't. How do they know? She said, well, they can't handle 500. Well, how do they know? They've never had 500 to handle. So how can they tell you what you can't do, given that nobody's ever had to do it? Mm-hmm. And she had a valid answer. She said, but I help people one-to-one. I can't handle 500 clients if I help them one-to-one. It's like an hour's worth of work each one. And I said, so here's the thing. Let's presume that you wake up tomorrow and 500 people are lined up at your door. I promise you won't deal with them one at a time. You'll come up with a new way. You'll go, right, let's start with groups of 50. We'll get 10 groups of 50. I'll sit you in a room and I'll do the basic explanation first. Then I'm going to cut those groups down to, let's say, 25 in half. So you'll end up with 20 groups of 25, where you're going to then do the next bit of coaching. And then, so along the way, you'll just change the volume in each group, but it won't be individual coaching anymore. Mm-hmm. It'll be group coaching, same price. And then later someone says, I just want you all to myself, or I just have this personal problem. I don't want anyone else to know. Can I? Yeah, cool. Now you get them as a coaching client. And it's something completely different, right? But I said, but until you have 500 knocking on your door, and here's the sales problem, right? People say, I can't handle that many clients. How do you know you don't have that many? See, you've created a problem that doesn't exist yet. How do I handle 500? You don't have 500. Don't worry about what you don't have. Only worry about what you do have. I mean, for me to coach, let's say 400 people last year, and I think I've done this year, what are we, halfway through the year? I think I've already done, I'm looking for a new record, right? So I think I've done nearly 300 coaching sessions this year, right?
Yep.
Now, and I say to people, do you know how I get this many coaching sessions this year? Here it is. One at a time. I just get one at a time. I don't even book them in 10 sessions over the course of 10 weeks. It's just like, we'll do a coaching session. And then at the end, if you need another one, just book in when you're ready, So some days I have to call people and say, how are you going? Are you having trouble with your hand? And other times I go, oh, I've done no work. I've got no one lined up. And then all of a sudden the phone rings. I need help. I need help. I need help. I'm still only collecting one person at a time. And when I run group classes and say, here's a problem that I have once in one session, I got, let's say there was 10 people in the class. And at the end of the class, I said, this is a hard class. And if you're still having trouble with it, book in for a coaching session. We'll fix it this week. All right, cost you $25. We'll fix it this week. And by the end of that class, I had 6 people booked in. And I had someone go, oh my God, I think you got everyone. I said, I got 6 out of 10 booking for a coaching session. She said, so you did get more than one at a time this time. I said, no, I didn't. Do you notice that I had to say that 6 times all the way through? So depending on where I was in the class, first time one person goes, actually, I need a hand there. And then I keep going. And if you're still running into trouble, oh, yeah, no, that's me. I started to sell it one at a time. They got on board one each. They didn't all go, oh.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a myth to think that everybody just goes running to the back of the room to buy. It's done through sales tricks, and it doesn't say much for the salesman who really doesn't care enough to follow up in the first place. Oh, you didn't buy anything, so, clearly you didn't think enough about yourself to do it, or you're not coachable. Or maybe you were a dickhead and didn't just follow up with them at the end and find out how they ended up there in the first place.
Yep.
So, it's, you get to take it how you like. But there's something I've noticed, like with value. People say, if you don't charge, they won't value it. If you don't charge enough, they don't value it. I've never had a person pay $20 and not say thank you at the end. And go, woohoo, I just got, oh God, I just ripped her off. Never happens. Oh my God, thank you so much. You've changed my life. I've paid so much money for stuff similar to this before, but they've never explained it like you. Oh my God, I can't believe how easily you just did that. You're amazing. So I've never had anyone not value what I did just because it was $25. But here's an interesting thing about free. It's not that people don't value free, right? Let's say you called me and said, hey, Misty, I need some help with some sales stuff. I mean, I could book you in for $25. I could say, actually, I've got time right now. You want to tell me what the problem is? And then if I get excited, I'm going to go through it and go, oh my God, this and this and this and this and this, right? And let's say I take up 45 minutes of your time and you're going, oh, thank you so much, right? And then a week later, I find that you're not doing any of that. The general opinion of the world. See, because you didn't charge for it, they didn't value it. But here's the real truth. No, it's not that they didn't value it. It's just that I gave them the information before they were sitting down with a pen. And they couldn't write it down. And then I flooded them with these ideas that they thought was brilliant. And they can't remember them. And when I go back and check, how are you going with that? Oh, no, I think I've got it covered. They're too embarrassed to say, I didn't have a pen on me.
Yes.
It's not that they didn't value it. Or even worse, if you're considered a leader in your space, and this is what the 2021 really taught me, right? Because I'd say, why did you ask this question here? I just wanted you to myself. But you could have just asked me and have it to yourself. Or I just wanted a way to say thank you because you give me thoughts and ideas all the time. And I just wanted to give you some cash somehow. And I didn't know how to do it, but at $250, I couldn't afford it. Oh, okay. All right, sure. Right. And that what they're saying is, I find you so valuable. I wanted to give you something, and I didn't really think that flowers cut it. Right? Flowers aren't going to buy food for your kids, but I didn't know how to give you cash. And so at $20, you gave me the idea, right? So the other side of it is, let's say I flood you with ideas and you have a notepad, but then you don't use it. It's not because you didn't value it. It's because now you're embarrassed because you consider me and my advice so valuable and you didn't pay for it, that if you use it and someone says, how are you getting those results? Well, I met the most amazing coach ever. Oh, how much did that cost for the training? Well, see, what happened was I went to book in for a coaching session, but then she just started talking to me. She gave me the answer, so it really cost me nothing. And then your friend goes, well, how much will it cost me? I have absolutely no idea. See, now you're too embarrassed. You can't, even if you want to pass on a referral, you can't because you don't know the rules of the sale. So actually, why people don't use our information when it's given away for free is they're too embarrassed to use it because they didn't pay for any of it. And we salesmen took away the customer's ability to say thank you. And cash is the easiest thank you. So it's our fault when they don't use it because they either weren't ready and didn't have a pen handy.
Yep.
They weren't sitting down in that headspace going, but I just wanted you all to myself for an hour. So we didn't give them the time that they wanted. We gave them information too early, or they're too embarrassed to use it because we didn't charge them any money. The truth is we'll take stuff for free, but we don't necessarily want it for free. We do understand there's not a person on the planet that doesn't understand stuff costs money. It just does. So even though we'd like it to be free, we don't really expect it to be free. We say thank you to the free stuff. But do we use it properly? Not most of the time, because we don't know how to. And then how do you go back and ask for more help from the person who gave it for free? You can't. So people would leave me, get all the information, not use it, and then pay squillions for a business coach to not get the answers that they're after. When I asked, why did you do that? Well, I didn't really know how to pay you. I was so embarrassed. So I thought, well, maybe that person would just give me the same information, but it's been wrong. Yeah. And whose fault is that? It becomes my fault. It wasn't their fault for hiring the wrong person. It was my fault for not doing it right the first time. But it wasn't because they didn't value me. They just didn't know how to pay. So, see, life is different. It's just different to how it used to be.
It's moving quick too, Misty. What brings you happiness, Misty?
I'm an absolute sales nerd. I'm such a sales nerd, right? So Christmas time, I try to take the week off between Christmas and New Year's where I don't run any classes or anything. And we did this a couple of years ago where I had that whole week off. And it got to the Friday before, so it was just after Christmas, got the Friday just before New Year's. And New Year's might have fallen on, let's say, Saturday, might have been New Year's Eve, or maybe on the Friday. For us, it was New Year's Eve and Saturday was New Year's Day. And so in America, it would have been the eve of New Year's Eve, right? So the day before. Anyhow, I get up super early, like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, take doggies for a run, but I just get up and spend time with myself. Someone had written and said, hey, could I have a quick coaching session? I know it's between Christmas and New Year's. Yes, you can. So I booked in 2 people at like 5 o'clock in the morning. By the time Simon gets up, this is New Year's Eve, right? Simon gets up and goes, there's something weird about you today. There's something different, really shining. And I'm not sure what it is. I said, I coached 2 people this morning while everyone was sleeping. He goes, that's it. You haven't done that for a week. I coach people. He goes, there it is. So it turns out this. I consider talking to people about that thing that they sell and whatever it is and coming up with thoughts and ideas. And I treat it like a hobby. So as a result, I get to earn as much as I like and do it in the time that I want. But there's no reason for me to ever quit before I die. I'm planning on living to at least 105. So, pretty much I have super, but I won't need it because I'll still be working. But it's not working. It's just doing this thing that I love. So it's somehow become my hobby. It's taken over the knitting and the sewing and all those other things. And if I was doing it 10 hours every day, probably wouldn't be enough. Like I just love it. So that's what makes me happy.
You're one of the lucky ones, Misty, and certainly deserving of the networking queen crown on your head. So that's brilliant. Yeah. I've got I've unashamedly stolen a segment from another podcast called Diary of a CEO.
Okay.
Gentleman by the name of Chris Bartlett. Okay. I'm confident his name is. That could be wrong, but I'll double check. And what it is, Misty, is each guest gets to leave a question for the following guest.
Okay.
They do that blind. They don't know who the guest is going to be. They just come up with a question. So here's the question that was left by Dr. Michael Mann, who is an American scientist, a climatologist. He's written many books on climate change. So his question, what would the top thing you would want to see us do to make sure we leave behind a better planet for our children and grandchildren?
Right. Learn to sell. If everybody knows how to sell, we don't learn this at school, but if everybody knows how to sell, the kids will grow up. And this is why I like helping entrepreneurs, because they're mums and dads, right? If I can teach you how to sell and make money doing something that you truly love doing, then the kids will grow up going, so I don't have to go into a job that I hate. I could literally just make money doing what I like. Like it could be something simple as, think any kid, right, that grows up learning to play the piano. I mean, how many jobs come from that? You can become a piano teacher. You can play in a band. You can play by yourself. You can busk. You could become a piano removalist, a piano tuner. You can write music. You can know a guy who he's a wedding singer. So he plays the piano. He's like Lucifer. He goes from England, right? So he's like Lucifer. He plays the piano. He just sings. And he does these musical telegrams. So my dad died a couple of years ago and called him up and said, Lincoln, I need you to do one for my mum. It would have been her like 47th wedding anniversary. She'd known my dad since she was 11. Wow. He died at 68 and I want you to do a telegram. He goes, great. So I said, so what is the music? So he said, so it's a wedding anniversary. He said, tell me what was her wedding song? And, two others that sort of resonate there. And then so I told him what it was. And then he literally does this video, right? And like I've got it on YouTube where he talks, hi, Anne, I've heard about Greg. I'm so sorry to hear this. This would have been your wedding anniversary, blah, 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 blah. And he says, so I've got something I want to play for you. And he plays their wedding song that they dance to. And then he mashed it in with some other song. So hers was, I think, the theme song from Dr. Zhivago. And when you hear it, you go, oh, I've heard that music. And then, mash it in with a few other things. Ended up with Here Comes the Bride, And then at the end, he turns back and he talks again to her about Dad and what he thinks that he's probably doing today. And I've never seen my mum cry until that day. And we gave it to her. And like, how cool is that?
Wow.
So, and that's just the piano. Jack, when COVID was on, he wanted to play basketball. COVID was on, they didn't have teams. But when they started in Canberra to open back up again, there was a woman who was teaching basketball skills. So he couldn't get into a team, but he went to learn basketball skills. And of course, me being a salesman and liking my maths, I'm sitting there watching him. Now, here's what he learns, right? He spends like 8 weeks learning, or let's say 10 weeks, learning to bounce a ball with his right hand and then his left hand and then switching the ball over and passing a ball and catching it. That's it. Like they do a little bit of shooting, but really it was bouncing a ball up and down a court and around some witches' hats and passing the ball back and forth. That's it, right? 1 hour lessons, 10 of them over, actually, I think it was $10 a session, 8 sessions over the course of a term, right? I'm counting up all the kids there. Now, this woman grew up playing basketball her whole life. So she went from playing basketball, going to basketball training, doing some refereeing, so learning to referee, probably played rep, coached some of the mini teams, and now she teaches people to bounce a ball. And when I counted up all the people, she was earning $300 an hour to teach kids to bounce a basketball with 2 hands while walking. Oh my God. And she loved it. I've gone, the average public servant earns $1,000 a week.
Wow. Yep.
For 40 hours. She earns $300 an hour. She gets to work 3 hours, earns the same amount of money because she learned one skill. So it turns out, yes, kids go to school and they learn all this stuff and there's things to learn at school, like social skills and following instructions. Like I see the practical, useful life skills that come out of school. But in the end, I mean, a kid only has to be interested in one thing, and the amount of money they can earn from it comes down to not how much they charge, because that woman charged $10 a session, right? It's the amount of people you can help. So my thing for the future is if everybody learns to sell, understands that there's nothing that can't be sold, and all you have to do is practice saying, this is what it is and this is how much it costs, everybody can make money. If there's an economic downturn, we still have a way, right? So everyone has the ability to make money. So to be in charge of themselves when they need or want to be. It's like, but you can be in a job, because that's important too, to learn those instructions, but to also know that you can earn some yourself if you want to. Just know the skills and then you're good to go. So that's my way for the future.
I love that. Missy, is there anything that we've missed tonight that you want to make sure that we highlight or throw a spotlight on?
Yes, now that you bring it up, let's go my sales books, right?
Yes.
You can only buy them from me. I'm like this weird, I'm not a control freak. Like I'm pretty much fly by the seat of your pants, but when it comes to my sales books, you can only get them from me. So here's an interesting thing, right? These two books, Overcoming Obscurity and How to Go From No Sales to Sales, right? Simple books, 5 chapters. It's 5 lessons in one, right? Following whatever theme, like each theme, right? $30 each. People go, oh, I'm going to look that up. You can't, because you can only get them from me. So that's interesting how much people follow rules on this is how it's done today. You can get it on Amazon and do all of this. I've gone, oh no, I sell my books, but you can only get it from me. So see, it just shows, one is if someone's listening goes, shit, I want one of those books. Yes, you do. The first one you want is this one here, How to Go From No Sales to Sales. But you get it from me, it's $30 free shipping. Misty Henkel, like I'm the only one in the world, and I wear a crown. So you find me on Facebook or on LinkedIn, just, connect in. I want one of your books, no problems. But you won't find it anywhere. So there it is there. Or there might be a few spot videos where people have done some videos on it. So I do show up on Google like Ryan Reynolds. You Google me and Google thinks I'm famous.
Excellent.
Crown.
Yeah.
And so that's how that goes. But it also shows that you don't have to follow conventional rules. You can sell any particular way that you like as well. So that would be it. But based off your idea of these questions, I have a question for the next person.
Excellent.
Yeah, here it is.
Yes.
How many people do you want to help?
Oh,
because
like that.
Really, that's the answer to life. If you don't have much money, chances are you're not helping many people, right? Or you might be helping a lot of people, but not with the skill you're supposed to be helping them with. I believe we're all given something special in us. And it's designed for a group of people. So mine was sales. That's my special thing. Musicians are, it could be a trumpet, it could be the piano, whatever it is. Lincoln's the piano player. His is the piano. That's his thing, right? So he gets to make plenty of money because he helps many people, right? So it comes down to that. So if you're not helping anyone, or if you're helping people not quite the right way, you're not going to end up with what you need because they're not quite getting what they're after either. So there you go. That's my question is, how many people do you want to help?
I love that. I love that a lot. Misty, where can people find you outside of Google? Where's the best place? Well, I mean, Google is, why would I take
honestly,
that away?
All over the world, if you Google Misty Henkel, now my name is spelled Hen, Vanelli, Kel, right? So that's the spelling of my last name, Misty Henkel. Seriously, you Google that, Misty Henkel sales trainer, Misty Henkel networking. I promise you, like Ryan Reynolds, I shine up like a Christmas tree. Now, I don't have a website, but they're not as Ryan Reynolds.
This is true.
So I have a theory about this. If you talk to people all the time and show up on other people's platforms and promote other people's platforms, as a result, Google goes looking for you and finds you. And so as a result, I'm apparently just as famous as Ryan Reynolds, or maybe more to the point, Ryan Reynolds is as famous as me. So you can Google me that way. You'll find me LinkedIn, Facebook, don't have a website, have a Google business page. My email address is so simple, mistyhenkel@gmail.com. You can't get much easier. Got a YouTube channel, all sorts of random things over there. We've got sales stuff. We've got business stuff. We've got golden retrievers play fight in the backyard. So what's it? Watermelon skiing. I live in Chinchilla in Queensland, and watermelon growing capital of Australia, undisputed watermelon growing capital of Australia. And every 2 years, and we moved here last year, so this year they had it, and then they won't have another 2 years. They have a watermelon festival. And at the watermelon festival, they're very well known for watermelon skiing. Seriously, the funniest thing you've ever seen. So I've got watermelon skiing, live watermelon skiing on my YouTube channel where I got to see it. It's very impressive. Imagine this. Big black slip and slide on the ground, covered in crushed watermelons and water. Person stands at one end with a crash helmet on and a watermelon on each foot, holding onto a water skiing tow rope and getting dragged to the other end.
Wow.
The
I need to see that.
funniest thing you will ever see. So yes, if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll find it. So Misty Henkel YouTube, and you'll find it. But just look up watermelon skiing or Misty Henkel watermelon skiing. You'll find it. There's plenty of videos. Super funny. Super funny.
I love that.
So in 2 years' time, I've worked out how to practice this. Like mentally, I've been practicing it in my brain, and then I'm going to end up with slip and slide. Get the kids on each side holding a rope as they practice towing me until I end up, with a proper water skiing rope. And it's done on an electric thing, so it pulls you in. Most people land on their stomach. Men go sliding across on their stomach. That's funny. Women tend to fall on their bum and then get dragged the other way. But there was one guy, he did it. And he went to the end, and near the end, he turned around, held with one hand, and waved at the crowd. And I've just gone, you're amazing. Okay, so I want to do that.
Yep. Yeah.
So I'm thinking he probably water skis because there's water skiing 10 k's away here. So, I mean, he probably water skis anyway, but I thought, that was amazing. It's so funny. So I plan on being on the news in a year and a half's time when it's back out, because the first people on the first day end up filmed on the news for like the Weather Channel or something.
Gotcha.
So
Excellent.
Like, that'll be me.
I love that. That's unreal.
So yeah.
Misty, thank you very much for making the time. And ladies and gents, as famous, if not more famous than Ryan Reynolds. So go and find her online, and grab a couple of books, 5 lessons in each. And to Misty's point, it'll help you learn how to sell, which will help better your life. So Misty Henkel, thank you very much. The queen of networking. Ryan Reynolds is almost as famous as Misty Henkel. Good evening.
You know what's going to happen, right? You're going to get Ryan Reynolds on here one day and you're going, what about that Misty Henkel? And he'll be like, I hear her name all the time.
Exactly. He'll bring you up.
Well, I've had her on. I mean, I've had her on, Ryan. Yep. Like, oh, you need to meet. We'll end up on a plane sitting next to each other and he'll be like, you're the one. You're the one. That gets mentioning, her name gets mentioned every time mine does.
I like that. Google will put you guys together.
Google will put us together, absolutely. Google will find a way.
Exactly.
Nathan, I've had so much fun. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Ladies and gents, enjoy the rest of your night. Go and check her out. Misty Henkel, thank you again, the queen of networking. We'll be in touch very shortly.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks.